If you hear meow meows, it's Corby. She's come for a visit. But welcome back to Allergic to Stupidity. I hope everybody's having a good day. You can see the sun is coming in through my blinds, and spring is around the corner. And from my perspective in Southern Ontario, March break is hitting, so it's time to start deep cleaning my house. Meow meow. And things like that, because that's what I do during March break. But you can tell my voice is coming back. Body was going, you're sick, and I just went to bed. Seems to have done the trick. So, surprise, surprise, Trump is flip-flopping again and again and again. He was cozying up to Putin. We all know that. He even said he was going to get rid of the sanctions because the sanctions weren't fair, all the rest of it. But then Russia did a missile attack on Ukraine, and all of a sudden he's screaming, we're going to put massive sanctions against Russia. There's already massive sanctions against Russia, so I'm not sure what other sanctions he's going to put against Russia, but that's his screaming Mimi today. Which just goes to confirm what we've all been saying, we've all noticed, is you can't trust that man, figuratively speaking, as far as you can throw him. Because he's flip-flopping. He's doing it with the tariffs, and he's doing it with this. So all it's doing is keeping that chaos that I've chit-chatted about in the last couple of days, that it makes it emotionally and physically draining for the rest of the world, because we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. And it's draining for the stock market, which is our economy. It's the indicator on how well our economy is going. And like I said yesterday, the stock market likes stability. The stock market does not like this. The stock market does not like the threats of war coming, because investors don't know if the money they've invested is going to be there. And so the stock market likes stability, but he's not allowing the stability. He's keeping the chaos. And so everything's upside down and backwards. So surprise, surprise on that one. But it sort of, what we are finding in Canada is that we've all galvanized against this stupidity and this drama and said, let's work together. And we're relearning and rediscovering that, like I said before, my kids in grades 7 and 8 have learned that it's better if they work together, because it's less work. You end up with better ideas. You have more fun, etc. And that's what Canada is starting to learn to do. And part of our problem in Canada is our government, federal government, does not have their thumb on each province, as other countries may have on the different regions within their countries. That we are a very decentralized setup. So British Columbia has certain things that they have no ifs, ands, and buts, they get to control. Same thing with Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba. And the federal government literally only takes care of those things that federally affect the whole country. I'm getting to a point, trust me. And we are learning that maybe perhaps we need to work together. So a very, very long time ago, like 75 years ago, 80 years ago, on her birthday, 21st birthday, Her Majesty, bless her soul, said, I will serve my country and the Commonwealth for no matter how short or how long my life on this earth is. And it was about service of her to her people, and then her people service her. So the cute little story, you're going to go, okay, well, that was 75 or 80 years ago. Times have changed. But have times really changed? Or did we forget about that? Did we forget about serving others and others serving us? So it's a cute little story. I don't know how true it is, but it is a cute story, okay? And it was one of the royal guards at Buckingham Palace dropped something, and His Majesty King Charles noticed it and looked twice, because it's not something monarchs normally do, picked it up and gave it back to him. And then King Charles, supposedly by the story, noticed there was something wrong with his uniform, because their uniforms have to be immaculate. Like, They are top of the line soldiers. No, it's like the average Joe can't necessarily become a guard at Buckingham Palace. They have to prove their worth to get it. So just think of them upper echelon soldiers who now have the privilege of guarding Buckingham Palace. And so the uniforms have to be immaculate. And King Charles, by the story, noticed that it wasn't, and it bothered him. But he didn't say anything. Wasn't gonna point out the soldier at all. Went back to his office, called in his aide, and said, I noticed this morning or today. Can you check it out? And he says, well, who are you talking about? And so they figured out which guard it was. And the aide said, Your Majesty, it just may be that he needs new tunics. He says, no, there's something off. And as somebody who would have spent his life watching people, because that's really what he's doing, he knew something was wrong. So they chased it down. He had an immaculate military career. He earned his spot as a guard at Buckingham Palace, but he was homeless. And King Charles was upset. So, and I keep referring, this is a story. But even if it is only a story, this is the way it should be. And so he called the soldier in the next day. And of course the soldier's going to have a fit shit because it's been to somebody who's standing at the front guarding Buckingham Palace get called up to His Majesty's office. And His Majesty, as the story goes, said, I know the truth. And now he's having a hair fit because his uniform's supposed to be spotless and he's supposed to be serving His Majesty. Just like our vets are serving our country, and they're serving you, and they're serving me. And King Charles, by the story, cut through the BS and said, this shouldn't happen. And it stops today. And it's not only going to stop for you, it's stopping for anybody that's serving Buckingham Palace. Nobody should be living in their car. And it wasn't the guy fell down on his luck and didn't have a job. He had a job. He was literally guard at Buckingham Palace, but rents in London, England are god-awful, just like they are around the rest of the world. And he couldn't afford it, and he got evicted and was living in his car. Like a lot of people here and in Canada and the United States. So King Charles, because he was in the position he was in, was able to arrange for him to get an apartment in a quiet area of London. Now, that soldier in question would probably have to continue paying the rent. He's not going to get a free BB. But one of the things the soldier said to King Charles, he says, but I'm here to serve you. He said, why didn't you tell us? He said, because I'm here to serve you. And King Charles' response, which was the same as Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth's response, but I'm here to serve you. It's a two-way street. And so they made arrangements, and he got an apartment. And by the story, King Charles is making sure that doesn't happen to anybody else. But here's the point. We are now in a very interesting time. And we need to remember we are here to service each other. And put our hand out for each other and to help each other. And when we do that, everybody benefits. When we have the corporation saying, I have to keep my profit margin up high, the only one they're serving is themselves. They're not servicing us. And when the big guys service the little guys, then everybody profits. Because the little guy, that one who's living on a minimum wage job, can buy his food, can keep a roof over his head. So that puts money in the landlord's pocket. Buys food, that puts money in the grocer's pockets, which puts money in the farmer's pockets, etc. And we need to be doing that more and more and more, especially in this era. And that's exactly what they discovered in the Dirty 30s, is that you serve me, I serve you. Let's all work together. And it's a CTV article this morning I got. I think I wasn't even out of bed when I listened to this one. And the provinces have got together and are trying to get rid of interprovincial tariffs. Thank God, it's just about time. But the first one they're getting rid of, which for people in Ontario is going to be wonderfully beneficial because we're short in doctors, is that if you have a certification in any profession or trade, it's good right across the country. Well, see, the federal government can't say this is the way it's going to be because that's not a federally issue. It's not a federal problem. It's between the provinces because the provinces have decided what their nurses' requirements have to be, or what the teachers' requirements have to be, or the doctors, or whoever. And so, in using my example, if I want to teach in a province other than Ontario, I have to take all my qualifications, send it off to their Ministry of Education, and they're going to, yeah, okay, that's where such and such. Oh, yes, you do have a teaching certificate. Go on to the College of Teachers, look up my name, it's right there. But up until today, or right now, this is what I have to do. If I want to go teach in British Columbia, I had to send it all out to British Columbia and have it verified. I get between countries. That doesn't bother me. But why in blue blazes do I have to do that between provinces? So this is what the provinces have come out with. It's a starting block. It's not a perfect solution, but it's a start that says if you have certified qualifications in province A, you can go use those certifications in province B, C, D, or E. And that's a wonderful step. That's going to allow skilled workers to flow across our country because we've heard of time after time where people have the certificates and the qualifications, and I'm just coming up with the provinces, in New Brunswick or PEI, they go out to Alberta because, excuse me, there's no jobs in their home province. They go out to Alberta, and I'm not accusing Alberta, I'm just using them as an example. And they can't get a job because they don't have Alberta qualifications. But Alberta's short on that whatever, that trade or that profession. And then they have to sit and get their qualifications flipped over. And you might think, well, that's only a 10-minute job. I wish. I was 6 months trying to get my qualifications flipped from Ontario to Newfoundland. And they kept saying, well, we need this piece of paper and that piece of paper. And it was like, I finally gave up. I literally, the process is half done. I got so tired of jumping through all the stupid hoops with Newfoundland that I went, this shit, and gave up. Because there were so many. So that's step one. Step two, some of the things are going to be more difficult for them to get rid of the tariffs. But things like BC wine, why can't I buy that in Ontario? I mean, I can, but there's extra tariffs. It's Canadian. It's Canadian. Bring it to Ontario. Let me taste some British Columbia wine. Like, it's cheaper for me to buy wines bought from Germany than it is to buy BC wine. That is idiotically stupid. And I can see the only wine I buy from Germany, and actually my tenant buys it for me for Christmas, it's because it's in a cat bottle. It's an okay semi-dry wine. It's not the top of the line. I've had much better before. But that's why we buy it. It's because it's in a cat bottle, and I'm a cat lady. But it's cheaper than buying British Columbia. This is idiotic and stupid. So here we go. What our provincial leaders need to do is remember that the federal government here is there to service them, and they're here to service the federal government so that we're all working together for the betterment of everybody. And part of that is that Doug Ford started screaming that Ottawa has to do this and this and this to make trade between the provinces easier. Well, if Province A isn't agreeing to it, and I said it yesterday, I think I said it yesterday, Alberta, obviously, since their major resource is the energy, wants to ship things through pipes to British Columbia, over the mountains, out to the ports in British Columbia, to have it set sail for the Asian market. Or have it come across to the East Coast to have it shipped out of Halifax or wherever. But British Columbia is saying no because they're worried about environmental impact. What happens if there's a spill? Then I get that. The indigenous population, that's our sacred land. Well, okay, I get their point too. And then we could just dig it down south of your sacred land, right? Come up with compromises. Same thing going east. Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario is okay with the pipes going through, but Quebec doesn't want it to go through for environmental reasons. Get it, right? Because they have the St. Lawrence Seaway and they have got beluga whales, and I 100% get it. But can we all stop putting ourselves first and start servicing everybody? What's the best for everybody, not just ourselves. So you service me, I service you. Let's all work together for the betterment of everyone in our country and then the world. Okay? There you go. So, what did I chit-chat about today? Well, outside Trump being Trump, and I always give a recap at the end of every one of my lessons in this class, so you get it here too, guys. Trump is flip-flopping. We can't trust him as far as we can throw him. And it's just causing more psychiatric psychodrama, as one of our MPs put it. And we just have to deal with it. But it is galvanizing the Canadian culture, the Canadian people, and our provincial leaders are finally starting to work together. And I get it. Like the Alberta leader, of course she's going to be standing and defending her people. That's why she was elected, was to defend her province. I get that. But sometimes when we get so wrapped up in protecting our own little corner of the world, we forget to see how we're all interconnected. And Doug Ford's the same. And Monsieur Legault, I can't remember the Premier of Quebec. But of course he's protecting, and they're very protective of their culture because their culture is unique. So is Alberta's, but theirs is unique in that it's one of the 3 founding cultures in Canada. Alberta's has developed over the years, Ontario's has developed over the years, but there's the French, there's the English, and then there's the First Nations. So everybody's protecting, but we need to work together and recognize that each area has their own culture, and we need to defend those cultures and keep them secure and keep them protected. And so bringing that, my story about King Charles, where his soldiers service us and we serve it, he serves them. So our provinces serve the federal government serves the provinces. And in closing, our vets have serviced our country. They've put their life on the line. They have put their life on hold to serve our country. We need to serve them in their worst times and their best times. So remember that. Because Canadian military is out recruiting massively right now. Like, the ads are everywhere. Partially because training starts in about a month and a half. But because we are recognizing the fact that the world is not a safe spot right now. And everybody, we need to be protecting our great north. Like great, far, far, far north. So, there we go, guys. There's my chit-chat for today. Let's remember to all work together as one team and be there for each other. You guys have a really good day, and we'll see you next time. Take care.